Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Enlighten Up podcast. I am your host, Nicole Frolick, and I am riding solo once again. I will definitely be having a guest next week, and of course, the following week after for the full moon in Aries with Mary Ducina. But today, I really want to go into a little bit of this Libra solar eclipse that we're feeling, that this is happening tomorrow on the 2nd and or 3rd, depending on where you are in the world. It's been pretty intense, and the energies have been, just in general in the last 10 days, have been very, very heavy, very heavy. This eclipse is completely different than the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse that we had on September 17th. And this one is really challenging us. Whenever we have a solar eclipse that is squaring Mars, Mars or Saturn, right, are two most malefic planets in the world, but Mars is in Cancer, and Mars in Cancer is not happy. Cancer is a sign of its fall, which means it struggles. It struggles because Mars just wants to get to the point. Mars, like, let's just start. Let's just go. Wants to move, wants to do things. And it's a fire sign, right? Well, it's in Cancer, which is a water sign, and Cancer is like very sensitive. It's very much like the sign of the mother, and it's all about your deep vulnerabilities and emotions. Is it very easy to connect with your vulnerability like a snap of a finger? No, most of us need like a little coaxing. Most of us need a little help to get there. And Mars is just like, no, like just get to the point. And what happens when you get to the point? Eruption happens, right? Eruption of emotions. You take it's almost like whatever emotional venom has been stored inside you, like just gets spewed out in the moment. And that's like Mars in Cancer potential. It doesn't necessarily need to be that way. Of course, there are positives to Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is very much the protective mama bear. Mars in Cancer is someone who's going to protect her children, protect country, protect home. It's got a very protective energy that can be very helpful in some cases, which is something I think we're going to see as Mars spends quite a bit of time in Cancer. It will leave in November for 2 months. November, December, I think November 6th or so is when it goes into Leo. And then it won't come back to Cancer until January 6th or somewhere around there. But we 5.5 months of Mars in Cancer in total. And we're going to start off the entire new year with Mars in Cancer. And so I think what we're going to be seeing is just on a world global level, we're going to be seeing much more protective over country. We're going to see the need to fight for country, the need to fight for home, the need to fight for children. I think that's going to be coming out a lot in the collective. So kind of like be prepared to kind of see that coming up. But back to these solar energies, there's a couple things I want to talk about on this podcast. And some of it's going to be about the solar eclipse. Some of it's going to be about the final retreat, Kundalini activation, that I wasn't able to share on the last podcast. Some of you say, where's the third one? I wanted to hear about the third one. And it was already 90 minutes long, that podcast. And so I'm going to share some more Kundalini results on this podcast. some more of the things that I wasn't able to get into. And then I also want to share a little bit of a personal journey that I've been going through that I think might be very helpful to you guys in your own journey of like what's kind of going on. And this has been, you know, this entire experience is always a learning experience. So first, let's just quickly go over like this solar eclipse, okay? Because on all signs that I did last night, I did mention that, you know, do not ever start anything on an eclipse if you can avoid it, okay? Because you're going to be imprinting the energetics of that day into your entire journey with whatever that is that you're starting, whether it's a relationship, a job, a project, a new health regime, like whatever it might be. I would say just wait at least a day, minimum a day if you can. And if you can wait a little longer, wait longer, you know, like some of us don't have time on our side, but definitely just wait till like we're out of the eclipse window. Which is going to be late in the evening on the 2nd. Or it'll be in the morning for those of you on the 3rd, like who are experiencing this around the world. So the reason being is because the sun is getting eclipsed. Whenever anything is getting eclipsed, whether it's the moon or the sun, it's just, you just want to be careful on like what you're initiating, because it just means something's going to get, something's missing from the picture that you're going to need. And there's going to be like a sense of darkness or a sense of losing light in a situation. So always good to not start things around any kind of eclipse. This eclipse in particular, whenever you're having an eclipse, guys, this is about you getting a swift kick up the butt from the hands of fate. You have a particular soul contract, which is interesting because the soul contract card came up twice in the readings yesterday. You have a contract that you created, that you designed coming into this world, into this life, of what you're going to learn, what you're going to experience, what you need to grow and evolve to reach certain milestones or events in your life. And if you are not participating at the level that you are contracted to, if you're avoiding, if you're denying, if you're delaying, then hands of fate are going to step in during these eclipse moments to make some big changes to get you back on track. So this is very much like a divine intervention in ways. Now, Libra is the sign of harmony, balance. It is about contracts, actually. It is about relationships. It's about our important one-to-one connections. It is about legal matters. It is about beauty, because Venus rules Libra. And right now, Venus is in Scorpio, which she struggles in Scorpio. She's not very happy either in Scorpio. So we have Mars in Cancer and Venus in Scorpio. But so this is about like really kind of getting like what I'm thinking, and or not thinking but feeling is that what's kind of coming up for this eclipse is that in order for you to strike balance, in order for you to have more harmony in your relationships, in order for you to connect with others, in order for you to maybe work on, maybe there's certain legal issues or something of that nature, certain contracts you have to look at. Whatever it is, with Venus and Scorpio, Scorpio is very much the sign of death and rebirth, right? It's also about power. And also Scorpio rules our subconscious mind. It rules our psyche. It rules like our fears and anxieties and all of that. And so you may need to put more value and emphasis on what your fears are, what you're really anxious over. Are you ready to stop that and start new patterns, right? Because this is a new moon, so it means new beginnings. But because it's on the south node, we are experiencing a letting go, a purging effect. So it's kind of like you're letting go and you're starting something all at the same time. And but you're letting go of something that just isn't good for you anymore, doesn't work the same way it used to work, if it did work for you in the past. It's not helpful to your future. It's not helpful to whatever path you're meant to be walking. And so there is this letting go energy there. And so oftentimes it can be very scary to let go of something we're very familiar with, something that we know, even if it's not working, because the unknown is even scarier than what we do know, even if the unknown could be so much better for us, right? And so we are kind of going through a little bit of a death and a rebirth through this solar eclipse. And I do feel like part of it is starting to like find more of your power, starting to reclaim more of your power, power in your relationships, power of a relationship. Perhaps, you can do things more, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, maybe more powerfully, okay, with better results when you work with someone else, when you bring someone else into the mix, when you connect with others. I'm definitely seeing the power of that in my life over the last year and a half. So this is something that it could be coming up for you as well with this kind of solar eclipse. A lot of your identity, the sun represents our identity in many ways. And so when we have that being eclipsed, it feels like a version of us is being eclipsed out of this moment. So there's a version of us that needs to be let go in relation to how we relate to others, our relationships, to allow for better relationships, to take a relationship to a new level, to build stronger contracts in our life with, whether it's your work or whatever contracts they may be, sacred promises that you need to make right now are also kind of coming up into the mix. So with this particular eclipse also, we do have a grand water trine that is forming just shortly after the eclipse, but the energies are already kind of coming into play as this eclipse is happening. They'll get stronger post eclipse, which is kind of nice, I will say. So expect for Friday and Saturday to be really great days, because we have a trine of Mars and Saturn. And then we have the trine of Venus and Saturn, and Venus and Mars. So all of these combinations together are really bringing in a very harmonious flow, a sense of ease into your life through all of the signs that are very intuitive, watery, emotional, deep in your feelings, really allowing for vulnerability. Healing is very much part of this energy. And also what's really great about this is that the water signs really do allow for deeper heart connection, right? So with this energy, this grand trine, this grand water trine in the sky, with this eclipse of like renegotiating contracts, allowing for an old part of you to die so that a new part of you can step forward in a way that really does make a better impact and difference in your relationships and just in your life in general. It strikes more balance and harmony in your life. You're going to find that what I love about this is that you're going to have a stronger commitment to your values. So you're going to find it easier to make commitments to what you personally value. You're going to find it easier to make commitments to certain relationships. You may find that you get help from an authority figure or someone older than you. Maybe even a mentor in some ways to help you navigate scarier stuff, like things that you're not aware of, like stuff that's in more of your subconscious. Maybe it's also about reclaiming your power. There could be assistance here with Saturn trining Venus. There's also this motivation and drive to really get things done. So with Saturn in Pisces, this is about really taking your spiritual game to a higher level. This is about taking your healing game to a higher level. This is about, maybe even it's your meditation practice. Maybe it's about creative things like music, like photography, video. All those things are very Piscean. This might be about like retreats. healing retreats, going to like maybe a beach. You're finally like getting this motivation and drive to really kind of commit to those things, to make it much more part of your routine, to make it part of your regimen, and not wavering on that. And then I also love, like, Venus and Mars is just great, first of all, like great for relationships, in a sense of, Mars and Venus obviously represent like the masculine and feminine in many ways. It doesn't matter if you're two women, two men, or men and women, like whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just like the really bringing in the balance of like the masculine and feminine. So I feel like there's this drive to really kind of deepen intimacy, because Venus and Scorpio is very much about intimacy. This could be sex in some cases. Doesn't have to be, that kind of intimacy. Just could be about the intimacy of getting to know anyone in your life on a much deeper level. And Mars is driving us to allow us to be more vulnerable, to allow us to get more personal, to open the door where we may have closed it. And so all of those things are really kind of coming into play over this eclipse, that are going to, especially over to like get later in the week, but are still part of the energetic imprint here, to allow for that. And I think that's really important, because I think, again, we're going to have to, in order for us to change this world and get things back into an alignment where it's not such a clusterfuck, because it's a total clusterfuck right now, we're gonna have to work together. We need to be a team, and way too much polarity, way too much division. We're gonna have to find common ground. And I feel like Mars and Saturn are allowing that, for that. Also, Mars and Venus are allowing for that. So really kind of allowing us to find common ground where we can actually work together, focusing on the positives, focusing on what can work versus what doesn't, and that's going to be a big theme, I think, that this eclipse is also going to highlight over the next year or so, because we're going to see this play out over the next 6 months to a year. This is the final Libra eclipse. So this one's going to be pretty impactful. And I will say this, guys, I did a journey over the weekend, and I'm not going to really share too much of it, because it was very intense, and I'm not even fully I have, there's a lot of it that I still have to process. But one of the things that was made clear is that I believe that there is an energy that is coming into this planet to emphasize the importance of putting the power back in the person, putting the power back in the people. It's an ancient energy. This isn't something that's been on Earth for, what I understand, 13,000 years. And it's going to be something that I think we see really truly awaken in people, not in the ways that we've seen it in the past, but in a completely new way. And it's time to take control of your reality, of your destiny. And again, I think this is something, it's like, well, in order for us to be more powerful, we have to be more powerful together, right? And in order to do that, we're going to have to be willing to know that we're not going to connect on every belief. We're not going to connect on every value. But it's important of like, where do we find our common grounds? Where do we find our common values? And I really feel like that's something that's going to be birthed through this eclipse, just collectively. And I think that's important for us to all think about personally in our own lives. Where can we start bridging the gap? Where can we start building bridges where we've knocked them down or burnt them down? Some bridges may still be there, but need repairs. Like, just, it's important to start thinking about like, how do we become bridge builders versus like bridge burners? Because I did get the sense that we're entering into a period where that it's a necessary component in order to shift a timeline. I feel like there's been a lot of talk about like a timeline shift happening like a couple weeks ago, like maybe 10 days ago. where everything just got really wonky, and may have like slipped into a timeline that we don't want to be in. I don't know. But it's like, in order to rebalance that, like, it's really important for us to reconnect, to rebalance. So this is a perfect eclipse for getting out into nature, taking time to restore, relax, really connect to yourself, and do all those things. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so let's jump into Kundalini experiences and a little bit more of what came out of the retreat, because I know that this is like, when you experience a Kundalini awakening, you're experiencing the awakening of what it feels like to have pure source energy flowing through you fully. Okay. And it can be very scary for a lot of people because of the distorted relationships so many of us have with power. Remember, power is energy. It is what we need to power things to move, to be expressed, to manifest, right? So it's a value of your energy. So every time you give your power away, you're giving your energy away to something that you don't feel comfortable utilizing it for. And it's because you don't want to be responsible, likely, for like the outcome. So when you have these Kundalini awakenings and you're not well prepared for it, which I do not suggest going into a Kundalini awakening you have not well prepared for, you are not ready for, because that's just spiritually irresponsible. Sometimes, they happen spontaneously, and that definitely happened for me when I was 31, and I wasn't able to allow it to fully move through me. But it's because, I was just at the beginning of my self-like journey, never mind self-love. I was just beginning of my self-like journey. And I wasn't comfortable with that much love. So, but the thing is, though, is that this is an energy that brings in a lot of power. So what I want to say first about, like, I didn't get to share this about the one of the Kundalini awakenings that came through. Yes, one of them definitely had a lot of ET contact. The other person also went on a ship to, I think, receive a healing. I'm not sure um, if the cellular upgrade happened while on a ship, but this person definitely did encounter going up on a ship through this awakening that happened. So deep connection, it really allows you to connect. And the reason being is because there's just so much power moving through you that you are uninhibited now, right? You're uninhibited and you're really, truly connected. The other beautiful thing that came through, the other person who had their Kundalini awakening, was really cool to witness. She really awakened a deep mother energy, and connected with an ancient energy that was speaking through her. She started speaking in ancient language that I didn't understand. I could feel the energy. Like, I knew the energy was very loving, and very reassuring and very healing. And I know that this energy was actually coming through this person because of the healing work that they are meant to do on this planet, in their future. They're going to be utilizing this energy. This was the whole reason why it was introduced to them through their journey, was to amplify their abilities to connect with the mothering energies of healing and nourishment and nurturing. And so it was just really cool to really witness how much love was pouring out of her, and to see it felt very much like a grandmother energy, in a sense of, like, so wise, so ancient, so all-knowing, and so loving, like so much compassion coming through. And being able to connect to this energy was so important for her because she had spent so much of her life mothering, being a mother energy to everyone else in her life, but never really maybe receiving the mothering energy that she needed, that she lacked. And that's something that we will often do, is that if there's something that we lacked in our life, in what we were able to receive, we will become that energy for others and start expressing it to others, kind of in hopes that we'll get it back in return, right? But what this was really doing was showing her what it's like to receive that mothering energy that she really didn't really ever get a chance to connect with, never experience. And that was necessary for her to utilize in her next steps on her journey of her, I believe, what she's going to be doing for her own business, like for her own healing that she's going to be offering the world. And so really kind of connecting to that mother healing energy is really powerful when you're needing to be able to gift that to others. So a lot of times we become healers. For any of you out there that are, consider yourself a healer, you're doing the healing work. Maybe you're thinking about getting into healing work. You feel like you're a natural healer, or that's just something you're really wanting to sharpen your skills at, whatever it may be. It's important to know that you will only be as good of a healer as what you are able to receive yourself. And yeah, you've got some reserves in the tank and you can use those, but you will inevitably reach burnout, and you will lose some of your passion. You will lose some of your drive. You'll hit a fatigue for sure. And so understanding that it's so important to be able to know how to open yourself up to receiving, to give yourself that energy, to allow yourself to be mothered, nurtured. Again, like and this is beautiful with Mars in Cancer. This can be a beautiful time for all of us to spend more time nourishing ourselves, mothering ourselves in the ways that we need to, giving that time back to ourselves. Because without knowing how to open that door to yourself, you won't be able to open up the gateway of receiving the energies as they heighten, and what you're going to be calling on, whether you realize it or not. You're going to be calling on those energies to facilitate your healing work, but you won't be able to utilize them because they don't have an entry point. So you, and also as you open up that entry point and you start to allow more energy to come in, you're widening the entry point, right? So you're making the entry point bigger. So it's almost like instead of a little tap, you're actually now opening up to like a fire hose, right? And that's what you want. And so this is why it's important for us to always have like a daily practice of taking care of ourselves when we are doing a lot of healing work in this world. And so she had a beautiful, beautiful Kundalini experience of experiencing pure bliss. She also was getting very intuitive messages for others at the retreat and offering those. There was just such a deep level of caring and compassion that was moving through her that I loved to be witness to. And what was really cool too is like, so when you come to these retreats, or maybe even if you do a VIP journey day with me, which is something I just emailed out to everyone on my email list yesterday. So, and I'll just say it here really quickly, is that I do VIP journey days if you're in the Colorado area, right? I mean, unless you want to fly me out to your state, we can work that out too. But obviously, like in Colorado, I like to do it here just because of the legal issues. And so what is important is when you are doing your journey, is you have to go into full surrender mode, which means you have to turn off your hat of taking care of you and allow yourself to be taken fully care of. And like, that's my job. I mean, that was Erica's job. And, this is why I constantly like watching over everyone and checking in and making sure you have water. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, you need more water, drink more water. And, I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're going to drink more water. It's just like, he's like the little child's like, no, mom, I'm not thirsty. And it's like, nope, you're going to drink more water because I know that you are running high amounts of energy through your body right now. And in order to conduct that energy, you need more water in your body. And like anyone who's done mushrooms knows that you pee a lot, right? You pee a lot on the journey. I know I certainly do. And so it is because you're constantly having to refresh and you're moving so much energy through your body. And when you're experiencing a Kundalini awakening, we're talking high levels of currents literally moving through your body. And so, it was nice because every time she needed to go to the bathroom, she like raised her hand and like I'd come over and like I'd walk her over to the bathroom to make sure she was okay. And I'd wait for her, walk her back to her journey spot and get her water, bring tissues when tissues were needed, and all of that. And that is part of the process. For her, it was really important. It's like she needed more attention than everyone else did, not because she needed it, but because she needed to experience it. She needed to experience what it means to be taken care of in that way, in that very mothering energy. And this is something that like oftentimes when you're going into a journey, and this is why, having the guided support around, especially like when I do these retreats, which stay tuned, I have an announcement next week. Yeah, it's like I've gotten so many messages from you guys about the next retreat that I'm like, man, my hand is being forced here. So stay tuned for next week. So with these retreats, part of the process that goes into me creating this container for you guys to be in the best position possible to experience the greatest journey that's going to open you up in ways you've never been opened up before is all some of the little things that none of you would probably think of. Okay. So some of the things that I do, I make almost all of the food. Okay. Erica and I were cooking most of the foods. Like all the meals were cooked by us. Some of the snacks, obviously not so much, but all healthy, all like made with love. And like I'm cooking for you, I'm feeding you, I'm nourishing your belly, I'm nourishing your heart, I'm nourishing your soul, we're nourishing your mind, nourishing all parts of you, like supporting you on all the levels. And like one of the things that I'm realizing that when people come to these retreats is they're like, I was not expecting all of this. And I'm like, what do you guys like? How low is your bar, guys? Like, how low is your bar? Like, when you come to my retreats, I am pampering the shit out of you guys. All right. Like, I am making sure you feel so freaking loved. You feel so safe. You feel so taken care of. And it's part of it is like, that's just my nature. Like, that's my Cancerian ascendant. Like, like the mother in me that like wants so badly to express itself in this life. I don't have any kids yet. And so like, you guys become all my kids. But it's like really like allowing you to receive at levels you've never received at, or very seldomly allow yourself to receive, right? Like that's the whole point, is like, I want you to receive so much out of this. And it means I'm going to hit you from every angle that I can. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that people don't realize when they come in. Like everything is so well planned and thought out. And that's something that people say to me. They're like, wow, like from all the retreats I've been to, no one's ever gone to the lengths that you've gone to for it. And I'm not saying that to like pat myself on the back. I'm saying that because, like this is why the results are being had, is because of the preparation. How much you prepare for anything is how much you're going to get out of it. And I just want you guys so prepared when you come in. I want you so prepared. And that's part of like the process. So for this particular woman, you know, she really needed to experience that and not have to think about, do I have to cook a meal? Do I have to take care of this person? You know, in fact, one of the people at the retreat, I made it a rule for this person that they were not allowed to comfort anyone else at the retreat until they first made a point to comfort themselves in some way, because they were so used to giving to others. I'm like, no, 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 no. And it's not that you can't give to others, and it's not that you can't be there and comfort someone at the retreat. But before you even reach for it first, I need you to program yourself to give to yourself first. And like that's something that we had to go through as well. So it's like really kind of catching your programs and stopping you guys in the mix. Like we're interrupting the programs every step of the way. Also, you know, at the retreat, there was someone there who also experienced, this is something that I think a lot of you guys are going to resonate with. When you want to connect on a deeper level to your intuition, is everyone connected to their intuition at levels that like they had not before, okay? One of the blocks that you are likely experiencing if you are not yet connecting to your intuition at the levels that you want to is the level of judgment or critique that is likely coming in through the inner voices, like the back of your, you may not even like catch it most of the time, of like how it's not enough, like you're not doing enough. It can be better, like, you know, like whatever it is. And so someone at the retreat really had to deal with a lot of past judgment and criticism. We discovered that it was this being kind of belittled, being put down, you know, made fun of in those ways that really didn't realize like that was the motivation of trying to connect. And so obviously every time if you're trying to prove something through connecting, which is a very unconscious thing, it diminishes your ability to connect, right? Because what she got to experience in her journey was a sense of perfection. And I loved this for her. I really had a bit of a soft spot for this particular journey because it reminded me so much of my experience connecting in my silent meditation retreat when I was 31, to experiencing what it was like to, like, everything's perfect. Everything, I don't need to change a thing. Everything is just perfect. And she got to go into this place where she also experienced this beautiful bliss of experiencing everything that's just perfect. And it always like came back to just being perfect. And imagine growing up and living with all of this judgment and criticism, like it's never enough, or it's not enough, or you know, you're not smart enough, you don't do this the way we can all do this, or, you know, like just feeling belittled, right? And then experiencing what it's like to be in the presence of perfection. Everything's perfect, no flaws. All of a sudden, the flaws were never highlighted anymore. And that's what happens when you have blocks to your intuition, is you're focused too much on the flaws. You're focused on what you're not doing. You're focused on what you can't do, right? As opposed to like realizing, oh, it's just perfect in this moment. When you experience this, this is a sense of this is actually going to, for this particular person, is going to unfold much deeper into the next few months, because these journeys will reveal something obviously in the first few days, and obviously in the moment, but it also starts to unfold and unpack itself months later, even years later. I am still unpacking my very first guided journey, even to this day. because you open up more and more layers of yourself that allow things to go deeper. And so for her, her intuition, I know, is going to be getting a lot stronger. She's going to be starting to access things through connecting to the frequency of perfection, really being okay. And that is why is that state of perfection so important to intuition? Because it's a state of allowance. You can't force intuition. Intuition is allowed to come through, or it's not, right? And what blocks it, what prevents it, what says no is judgment, criticism. Why? It's the wounded feminine energy. Intuition is a very feminine quality, right? Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. It is a feminine energy. And so when we go into the woundedness of the feminine, this is the wounded mother kind of energy, the one who's always judging, the one who's hypercritical, the one who's like, that's not good enough, do more, like it's always like judging and criticizing. And so when we are in that, we are wounding our own feminine energy, and we're not in a state of allowance. We're not in a state of perfection in the chaos, right? The feminine energy is very chaotic. It's not linear. And so being okay with like however way it's going to appear. And so that is like another thing that was like super, super important. And so I'm just really excited for what's going to transpire at the next retreat. They, from what I'm seeing, they just keep getting more and more powerful. The journeys go deeper and deeper. And yeah, okay, I'm not going to say anymore. We're not going to say anymore. All right. So the next thing that I would like to share with you guys is something that I think might be really helpful to some of you. 2 years ago, I mentioned this, I started to go through one of the most stressful periods of my life. And it lasted for about 6 months of just constant stress, constant anxiety at levels I had never experienced in my entire life before. And it was just because, again, like I was facing some big things in my life that had my future on the line, could have ripped my dreams away from me, at least in the way that I saw them unfolding. And just, like really, really difficult, like high stress levels. And when everything was said and done and over, and of course it all worked out because it always works out, I don't think I was ever able to recover from those anxiety levels. So my cortisol levels really shot up high. And what happened is I started to gain weight, and I started to put on a lot of weight, mostly in like my midsection. And, like most people would be like, Nicole, you're crazy. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, and it isn't, and it is, because, we all have our own baseline of what we're comfortable with. And I knew like something was just off in my body. And not only that, a year ago, it started to affect my feminine cycle. And so this cortisol level started to throw off my hormones, and I started to have something show up in my cycles that had never shown up before. And it was, and that was starting to stress me out a little bit. It wasn't like super bad or anything. It was just like, it was different. And I'm like, but this doesn't seem right. Like, this isn't how it should be. So, I was like, how do I correct this? What is going on? And of course, what also happened is because I was under these high stress levels and high anxiety, I was in a place where I really wanted to grow my business. And in doing so, like I just started to really get really lax on my boundaries of when I was working and when I wasn't working. And I thought I was doing an okay job of like, managing it, but I clearly wasn't. So, I started like keep putting on more weight. Doesn't matter how healthy I ate, how much I worked out. In fact, one of the things that started to be like a sign to me was this past May. I was like, oh, let me start walking around my lake, which is like almost 3 miles a day on top of everything else that I'm doing. And I'll use it as my time to like connect and listen to podcasts and just be out in the sunshine and be enjoying the warm weather, enjoying the views. Like, it's beautiful views. I love it. And I enjoyed it a lot, but I started to notice like the first 2 weeks I started to lose a little bit of weight, but then like all of a sudden my body started to like bloat up. Like it almost like it started to like get thicker or heavier, or like definitely heavier, definitely heavier. And I'm like, I don't understand what is going on. It really hit me around this retreat that just before the retreat, and I shared this with all the women who were there, that one of the things I was realizing is I think I have to go into major downtime. I think that the reason why I've been putting on weight is because my cortisol levels are so high. I may have to go into a very extreme mode of relaxation, sleep, retreat, like taking care of myself in ways that like before the levels that used to work for me just don't work for me anymore. I don't get the same kind of return on my rest and relaxation that I used to. And it's because I put my cortisol levels at such a high level that it needed much better attention to bring them down. And so last week, I made a commitment to myself that I have a client I have a client 2 days of the week where we start at 6 a.m. And in November it's going to start at 5:30 in the morning. Just because of time zone differences. And this has been a client of mine for a very, very long time. So this is why I allow for it. Usually I wouldn't, but I do just because of the relationship that me and this one client have. And so I usually what I would do, because I was working so much, is I would get up at 4:45 in the morning to do my meditation, to take care of me. And then I would either jump on a call or go to the gym. And I get to the gym for like 6 in the morning. So I get my workout in because I was like, oh, I want to take care of my body. Like and I love to work. I do like working out in the morning. Like I do prefer an earlier workout than a later workout. Unless I'm running outside, then I don't mind running later in the day. But what I realized is like, you know what, Nicole, like I'm just exhausted. Every morning I get up now, I am dragging myself out of bed. I'm like, it's just never getting enough. And my sleep patterns were also off. And some people might be like, well, Nicole, you're 47, menopause is, might be perimenopausal, and that could be it. It could be it. I just don't know how to say it. I don't feel like I'm there yet. Like I don't feel like I'm there yet. And so what I did is I started taking ashwagandha, the herbal supplement. I started taking that last Thursday, so almost a week ago. And I decided to, on the 5 days where I don't have this client, I am now allowing myself to sleep in until 8 a.m., which is unheard of for me, guys. Like this is like, I'm being so unproductive. Like what the hell? Like I'm missing, there's like 2 hours in the day I could have been doing something already. And I'm like, no, I think I need to sleep. Now, here's what's really cool. I know based off of my astrology chart that the best thing for my health is actually sleep, retreat, meditation, like really, really like deep sleep. And like anything that's restful is going to be super, super healing for me, like beyond just the average person. Like this, like it's a major, major way that I heal. And that's because my 6th house of health is Sagittarius and the ruler is Jupiter. Jupiter is in my 12th house of sleep, dreams, retreats, beaches, meditation, deep spiritual work, inner child healing, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of my health issues, because my ruler is in my 12th house, the ruler of my health house is in my 12th house, I know that I actually will get the most impact on my health when I start doing 12th house things. So I said, you know what? All right, Nicole, you're going to force it. Even if I wake up at 6 in the morning, I'm going to stay in bed till 8. I'm going to force my body to not get up. We're not getting up. We're just going to lie here lie here like a starfish. And I gotta tell you guys, I am shocked at the results. Today is just what, day 6? Day 5 or day 6? Within 3 days, no, within two full days of doing this, no, let's say 3. I'm gonna say 3. I lost 5 pounds just from sleeping and taking ashwagandha. And I want to make it very clear about what I was eating. I was eating there Friday night and Sunday night. I made myself the biggest freaking bowl of creamy pasta. Pasta, usually if I eat it next day, I'm going to be a couple pounds heavier for sure. Like usually. Now, it wasn't always like that for me. Wasn't always like that for me. It's just been like that way for me lately. And I know my metabolism's been off, right? Like my body's just not able to work with the energy that I'm bringing in because my metabolism's been off from the cortisol levels. I ate so many carbs this past weekend. Okay, let me just first tell you the pasta that I made, amazing. It was this pasta that I got. There was a restaurant in the Cayman Islands when I lived in the Cayman Islands. It was one of my favorite Italian restaurants, and they would make this pasta that was so good, and it was a creamy lemon rosemary pasta. Now they made it with I think it was with buffalo mozzarella. But I didn't have buffalo mozzarella. So I made a version of it. And oh my God, it's just because the lemon cuts the heaviness of the creamy flavor and it just tastes, and then you have the rosemary and there's some garlic. It was just like decadent. It's decadent. And I made myself a massive bowl. When I tell you like a massive bowl, I mean a massive bowl that probably could have served 2 people. And I ate it all. And I'm telling you guys, I've not gained any. I kept losing weight. Within the first 3 days, I think I lost 5 pounds. And then I continued to eat that way and I didn't gain any weight back. I went to the gym yesterday morning and my friend who I work out with, he's like, oh my God. He goes, you look so much leaner. And I said, yeah, it's almost like the puffiness is gone. And he's like, yeah, he's like, what the hell? I go, sleep and ashwagandha. I'm like, if someone told me the best thing for your health right now is sleep and ashwagandha, and I understood how fast it would work if I took it seriously. And that's the thing, I've had to take it seriously. Guys, I have had to make some modifications. Like I now have to force myself to close all my tabs so that they're not open on my computer, like work tabs, because I usually would just keep them open because I'm like, I just don't want to have to reopen them again. And so they're always there. And so like if an email pops in, I'm like, oh, I'll read it. I'm like, oh, I'll do this. I change the notifications on my phone so that I have a personal focus time where all my apps that can bring in business to me are shut down at 7 p.m. and they don't turn back on till 8 a.m. the next morning. And holy crap, I didn't realize how many. I thought I was like, I don't get emails very often, I don't get that many emails. What I saw all these emails come in and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't realize I was sifting through this much emails throughout the night or whatever. No wonder my cortisol levels are never getting a chance to come down, and just really realizing that. And so the reason why I'm doing it too, and I just want to make this very clear, is I don't think I'm heavy or anything like that. In fact, if anything, I kind of like myself with a little bit more weight on than what I used to have a few years ago. I actually do. I actually like myself a little more. What I don't like is the squishiness of the fat around my midsection that I've never had before, because that is the kind of fat that it's not good for the heart, right? That's the toxic fat, that's not the good stuff. And so I'm I just want to get rid of that stuff where I don't care if I stay at this weight right now. I'm totally fine staying at this weight. I just want that to firm up. I just want that stuff to go away. And that's kind of the thing, because to me, that's letting me know my hormone levels are off. Oh, this is the other thing I wanted to say. And I'm saying this because there may be women out there, or maybe men, you have female, like maybe it's your wife or your girlfriend, or maybe it's your female friend, like I don't know, who's going through this. But, you know, when you're in your 40s, like everything really does start to change. Like, you know, like your body's like, listen, as we get older, we have to modify. There's certain things that we just can't do at the same level. We have to compensate in a different way. And I'm realizing I have to compensate for me to put forth the same kind of energy into my workouts, into my business, or whatever I want to do. I'm going to have to increase my productivity level of sleep, you know, which means I'm going to have to really be very clear about like my rest boundaries. And I'm saying this because literally, if you're and of course, you always check with your doctor. And if you're, of course, if you're pregnant, please don't take ashwagandha, because I don't know if it's safe or anything like that, or if you're breastfeeding. But, and this is not health advice. This is just me like sharing my story. So like everything that you do, like you've got to check on your own, like make sure it's the right thing for you, check with a doctor or something. But, if your cortisol levels are really high, ashwagandha is something that was prescribed to me when I was in my early 20s by my naturopath. And she told me, Nicole, your adrenals are fried. She goes, you are so stressed out. You need to be taking this. And it was part of me actually also healing my cervix. So the reason why I was going to see her was because of the abnormal cells on my cervix. And so she's like, we got to help balance out your feminine energy, because obviously when you're a female, your reproductive organs are very much tied to your feminine energy. And so when I saw that my my menstrual cycle had shifted and there's something that was just a little different in it that I didn't like, I'm like, okay, you know, like maybe at first I thought someone told me take EFAs, like up your EFA count. So I was taking taking a really good essential fatty acid every day, and it didn't really make a difference, right? I had been taking it for months and months, and I know you usually got to allow for 2 months for a supplement to really start to show a difference in your body. And I know that just because of the cellular studying I did under microscopes when I used to have a dark field microscope. So basically, when within one time of taking the ashwagandha, literally one time, my whole cycle balanced out to where it was like over a year ago when all of this kind of stuff started. And I'm just like, what is the, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy, like how, you know, like there is a solution that could just be so simple. And for me, it's sleep and some ashwagandha, you know, and I'm like, wow, okay. And I know both are very important. It's not like one or the other. Like I know, like they're both working synergistically for me, because the ashwagandha is also helping me sleep better. I'm having much deeper sleeps at night, you know, so that's like really good. And here's the other thing too. I woke up yesterday morning. I forced myself to no, yesterday morning I had to get up early for the client. My alarm went off at 5:50 and I like shot out of bed like a lightning bolt. And I'm like, I'm ready. I was so awake. I was so alert. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't felt like this in ages. So I just think, you know, like for any of you who are experiencing really high stress levels, you know, whether you're a mom and you're taking care of kids, and this is definitely true for men too, but if you're putting on belly fat, okay, like if you're putting on like more of that squishy midsection stuff, your levels of cortisol are likely way too high. That's the first indicator of high cortisol. And it is highly indicated that in order to manage, you're going to have to first figure out how to manage your stress. So one, I had to put in all those boundaries, right? Like around my phone, around my device, around when I check like I have to literally force myself to not check things, to like not keep my stress levels high. Like I've got to go into really deep relaxation, but also like extending how much time I'm going to give myself to stay in bed. That's important. And then also the ashwagandha, which has been a total game changer for me. And I will say this, it doesn't work for everyone. I like, you know, my friend, she tried taking it and she thought maybe this would help her. Something was off in her health. And she thought she had heard people say, oh, try this. And it didn't, it caused all things to go funky in her. I don't know if her stress levels were the issue. Maybe they were, and ashwagandha is just not something that works with her. Like, listen, we're all unique bodies. There's not one magic pill for us all. So just kind of keep that in mind. But for me, like, this has definitely been a major game changer. And I'm just like, I wish I had figured this out sooner. So I'm letting you guys know, because that's what I like. I love to do. I love to share this stuff. So anyways, all that being said, I love you guys. I love you guys. Take care of yourself during the solar eclipse. This is definitely one of those eclipses that if you can just retreat, if you can just, not do too much. Don't overexert yourself on a solar eclipse, especially emotionally, because of the Mars in Cancer. This is a bit of a doozy, and we are also, just aside from the eclipse, also just under very, very heavy collective energies right now. I'm telling you, it feels like collectively we are being pressurized to turn into diamonds, and like that. And it's not that we're all going to poof turn into diamonds in a few weeks or whatever it is, but like it's part of the process. And like that, sometimes like high pressure will force us to really get further along faster, right? Like sometimes that's what the whole point is. So just be gentle with yourself. When we have these high pressure energies, you definitely need to not push yourself as hard as you normally would in whatever areas of your life you're feeling like you need to push yourself. Be a little gentler, be a little kinder, especially like this week for sure. But just with these energies, they are definitely very, very difficult. Everyone that I'm talking to is feeling it. No one is really exempt. And for those of you, a few of you who might be, jealous, a little jealous. Guys, that's it for today. Also, I want to say that if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I'm going to leave the links to get high transformational results. If you're really tired of small breakthroughs, if you're tired of the up and down, if you're hitting healing fatigue and you don't want to, one of the things that, is my strength, and it's my strength because I've been doing this for 30 years and I can spot shit a mile away. I see it. I see it. And it's why when I work with my clients, I can help them pivot and really navigate the common pitfalls, the common obstacles, the low-hanging fruit, the dangling carrot, why not to take it, where, so that you get the right transformation for you. If you're interested in working with me and you want like a big breakthrough, you want a big transformation, you're not interested in small breakthroughs anymore, you're exhausted, you've maybe hit healing fatigue, I'm going to leave links. There's a bunch of different ways that you can work with me. You can work with me one-on-one. You can work with me in my healing Mastermind, which is a group coaching program. Through all of this, you get like high level access to me. So yes, my rates have gone up, but it's because I want to get people really fast results. And I also want to give, in order to do that, like you're going to have like so much more access to me than most people ever would. So, all of that is in the description below. And next week I have a guest coming on and we're going to make a very big announcement. Very, very big announcement. I can't wait. It's going to be super fun. Definitely check that one out. And of course, the following week, I will have Mary Ducina on for the full moon in Aries. All right, guys, have an amazing week, and I'll see you guys really soon.
Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.